So I have two very easy multiple choice. You guys want to give it a shot?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, all right. So they have to do with the orientation of water. So when we have air and water in a bottle like this, for example, and the bottle's at rest, water will always fill the bottom and push the air to the top, regardless of the orientation of the bottle. Water will always go to the bottom and the air will always get pushed to the top. You know, that's a fact, right? So since we understand that fact about water and how it behaves, which one of these two is not in the correct orientation?
Upside down.
Yeah, this one.
Okay, this one's not in the correct orientation. Okay, why do you think is this one?
I mean, if this looks like air, I think that's...
Yeah, the water's actually blue. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, you got it. Yeah, because obviously the air, can be in the bottom, can sustain the water, right?
Yeah.
So they actually took it like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got it. That's pretty easy. So this next one is even easier. Another thing about water is that it always finds its level, especially when it's at rest. Again, I could tilt the bottle, but water always remains level.
Yeah.
So since we understand that fact about water as well, what's another word for level, by the way? We had to use a different word.
Flat.
I mean, horizontal will be the number, the one word definition.
Yeah.
You know? So, again, which one of these two represents level as we know it? A or B? Yeah, that's obvious, right? So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you guys, have been tricked to believing this is what level means, even though we know it's this. You guys want to know how we were tricked?
Sure.
You guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth. So they claim to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth if they're supposedly going around it. So they do tell us it's 3,959 miles, which means there has to be curvature every mile, and every mile it increases. Because they're claiming it's a curve and not a slope, right? So in the first mile, there's an 8-inch drop, second mile, 32 inches, and by the third mile, there should be 6 feet of curvature. Meaning, if we actually went out to a giant lake that was miles across to physically measure for this curvature, the water's gonna show us that it's gonna be parallel or level, to anything horizontal above it, And they're trying to tell us that the water's bending 8 inches per mile squared. But we all know that, okay, so what proof do you have that the surface of water of the
You
Earth?
can go to the fucking lake and look at it.
So you think the surface of a lake bends? So if we were to physically measure,
if it's multiple miles across and you
Yeah.
look at the lake, it'll bend over. You can't see.
oh, so you're saying the horizon is the curve?
If you're flat down, looking at the lake,
Yeah.
you won't be able to see all the way.
Okay. So if I was to hold this bottle in front of you and then move it away from you, will you be able to see it forever, or it will eventually disappear?
It'll eventually disappear.
Yeah. So we do have a limit to perspective, and I don't know if you knew the horizon is that limit of perspective. So, in other words, the horizon is not a physical thing; it's an apparent thing. So, because when you increase when you get very low, the horizon is very close because the limit of perspective, again, you're closer to the ground. The higher you elevate, the more you increase your angle of view and the further you're able to see in front of you. So, real quick, it's a little chart just to show that. For example, like when we're looking at train tracks, are the train tracks coming together, or does it just look like that? It just looks like that. We know the train tracks are parallel. But again, because we have a limit to perspective, everything shrinks to a point. That's why that happens. So when we're observing a lake, for example, we'll say this red line represents the lake or the ground. If we was to extend this line, for example, 3 miles or however far, it's gonna appear to rise in our field of view. So this arc represents our eyeball, for example. If we extend a straight line in front of you, it only appears to rise. And then once it rises to your eye line, that's the horizon. The horizon is apparent.
You're saying that the Earth is flat.
It's not flat, it's level. Flat is just a word that's being used right now to misrepresent this, and basically that's just the way that they're kind of censoring this, kind of just ridicule, you know what I'm saying?
Wait, so do you think that it is
No, it's not a
shape?
sphere.
You think it's just a flat?
It's a level plane.
It's just a level
It's
plane?
a level plane, and nobody knows how far it extends. I don't know if you knew the Antarctic Treaty. Have you heard of the Antarctic Treaty?
No.
So, the Antarctic Treaty basically, if the South exists, like the Antarctica, like it's a ring around, if it exists. Again, I don't know if it does or doesn't, or what exactly it is, that sheet of ice. If it does exist, it's a sheet around the Earth, basically a sheet of ice. And anybody that gets close to the south, basically 66 degrees south, you're not allowed, basically.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, there you go. So we're not allowed to independently explore what's beyond the horizon, for example. You know, so I think the Earth is a contained system because we have air pressure here. Without a container, you can't have air pressure. So the fact that we have air pressure.
What is your so what are your thoughts on gravity too then? Like, do you think it's just all around the Earth and it just...
So gravity, I don't know if you knew, they claim that gravity is a pulling force, right? That's Newton's theory of gravity.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Einstein's new theory of relativity? of the new theory of gravity, basically.
I don't know it off the top of my head.
So the reason they came up with that theory, Einstein's new theory, was because it's been physics proves, the laws of motion proves that objects don't accelerate down. So this magical imaginary force that grabs this object and pulls it down doesn't exist. So Einstein's theory of relativity is there to explain the other explanation, which is that the Earth is actually coming up to the object. So have you heard of the bending and warping of space-time?
No, you pull up on the Earth, and the Earth also pulls down at you.
Yeah. So have you heard of the bending and warping of space-time, though, right? That's Einstein's claim. You never heard of the bending and warping of space-time?
No.
Okay, so that's basically the foundation of Einstein's theory, and it's basically just a word-salad explanation that nobody really understands to explain away that the Earth is actually in constant motion, and that objects don't accelerate down. But if you're looking at that from a globe perspective, that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding in all directions. If the object's not coming towards the Earth and it's the Earth coming towards the object, that wouldn't make sense from a globe.
Wait, how does that work though? Then, like, so if the Earth is coming to me, so like if I jump up, how does the Earth come to me but not to him?
Well, he's already in contact with everyone. That's why you have weight. Something needs to.
The Earth's mass is
The Earth is constantly moving up.
Yeah, it's in constant motion.
Like the mass of the Earth
That's
is
what
so
gravity
big,
is.
It's so big that it barely moves at all. Like
Yeah, there you go. Okay, you got a good idea of it. It could be moving like 1,000 miles an hour. Well, nobody knows what the speed is, but it's a constant speed. Why? Because we have constant weight. If the Earth was like getting faster, our weight will be increasing as well. Because weight is the equal and opposite reaction to pressure, which is something pressing on something else. So that's how you measure pressure. Even air pressure, it's measured by psi.
So what is that? Like how the Earth is moving?
So the Earth is.
How does the Earth move?
Okay, that's a good question that a lot of people are asking. Since we don't know what's outside of the Earth, nobody knows how the Earth is moving.
But I thought.
So the Earth is a level contained system.
galaxy.
Yeah, outer space, I don't make claims about what's outside of the Earth. So all these claims about galaxies and other planets and all that, that's just ideology. That's just religion, if you ask me. So nobody knows what's outside of the Earth. That's the fact. And people that say, "Oh, what are the stars?" Right?
You can look up in the fucking sky at night and see
Yeah,
the stars.
this is what you see. They're just constellations because they're constant. It's just a map that whatever created this place put that map above us so that we can navigate this place. I don't know if you knew these are constant. That's why they're called constellations, right? And then these are the planets. And the reason why they're called planets is because these are one. The word
That
planet.
looks like you took a picture of a fucking zoomed-in blade of grass, dude.
Right? That's what the stars look like. And this is what they show us, though. This is the CGI Mars, but this is what Mars actually looks like. It's just a twinkling light. Nobody knows what it is. For all we know, it's not even solid. It's just a light. What
do you think about the moon, then?
That's another thing. I don't know what it is. It's a circle, obviously, in the sky. But I wouldn't say it's a sphere, though. That's what they claim it is, right? And they claim that it's 250,000 miles away from us and all this bullshit. But nobody knows the true distance or size of the moon or what it actually is. But I don't know if you guys knew, the moon throws a cold light, which is opposite of the sun, which throws a warm light. So that's something I think a lot of people know.
What about like time zones too?
Okay, yeah. So time zones has to do with the movement of the sun. So time is just a concept based on the movement of the sun.
So does the sun? Is the sun? What is the sun?
So so nobody knows. Again, they tell us that it's 400,000 miles in circumference, right, or something like that. And it's 93 million miles away, right? Yeah. The fact is, again, nobody knows the exact size of the sun or what it actually is. But if we trace back corpuscular rays, like this, for example, rays that come in through the clouds, show us that the sun is actually a very small local sun. So time zones would just be, because when it's noon, the sun's straight above you, right? When it's noon, so when it's noon, for example, in New York, the sun is right above them. So again, the sun is a spotlight that just goes over the Earth like this. It's very small compared to the Earth. So it's the opposite of what they're telling us. So they're telling us that the sun is huge and the Earth is very tiny. It's the other way around. The Earth is huge and the sun is very tiny, and it's just a spotlight that goes over.
But wouldn't that just have to do with perspective then, like what you were talking about earlier with the railroads?
Yeah.
These rays of light are just going to keep going out farther and farther. So how do you know it's that close?
Because we have sunspots that should not be possible like this when it's right above the clouds.
This is a sun.
Yeah.
This is like the
sunspot.
sun.
This is the sun right here.
You're saying how like everything's CGI, but like how do you know that's not CGI?
You will have to send your own camera up to verify, right? But I don't need to do that if I can measure water here on Earth. Water is the number one proof. You know, all of these are just, you know, I'm just trying to like entertain the conversation a bit, but water is the number one proof. If you really want to prove it.
Also, I kind of wanted to go back to this too.
Sure.
So you said this chart right here.
Yeah, this is the exact curvature formula.
You think so?
The Earth is flat.
Well, level.
Level, not flat.
Yeah, flat is.
It's a horizontal
Here, you can check it
plane.
out. These are the 6 main proofs. You can check it out. Yeah.
So, over the span of 1 mile,
Right.
it would drop 2 feet. That's what this says right here?
Yeah, and then in the next mile it drops 6 feet. So it keeps increasing, because if it didn't, it would just be a slope.
And you got that from?
From the radius of the Earth, based on what they're telling us.
Sorry, I'm trying. Can I pick this up and look at this?
Yeah, definitely. There's a simpler formula. It's actually in the flyer. You guys are familiar with the Pythagorean theorem? A squared plus b squared equals c squared? Mm-hmm. So this formula, I made this one myself. It's basically the measuring the circumference of the Earth using that formula, and it's basically the same for the first 300 miles. It's over 99% accurate.
Okay.
So again, based on the radius of the Earth, that's...
This seems crazy to me. This doesn't it doesn't seem to scale with like
exactly. There's a reason why they don't tell us the exact numbers. They only say it's a ball and that's it. There's a reason why they don't show us this in school. Let me ask you guys this. Is there a possibility in your guys' mind that maybe we have been lied to about the shape of the Earth and our existence? Or are you guys 100% convinced that it's a ball?
No, I swing both ways, honestly.
Okay, I'm glad. You're in the middle. That's good.
I don't know. I would need to...
I mean, I don't expect you to accept this right now. I'm just
think about all the stuff the government has been lying to us.
Exactly.
Think about it, bro.
NASA, I don't know if you knew, NASA's it's an extension of the military.
Exactly.
Yeah. In the military, how many secret operations do they hold and do? And hypothetically, if this was true, would that be something important to know?
No, not really, honestly. It wouldn't really affect my mind.
I have some people say that it doesn't matter and stuff, and in my head it's like, okay, if this doesn't matter, what does? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in my opinion, this is the biggest lie on Earth. Literally, I cannot think of a bigger lie.
This 3,959, is this from the center of the Earth, or is that's from the center of the Earth?
That's from the center. That's what they
to
claim.
the Earth crust.
Yeah. So this is the way they redefine level, because they say that level means curve, but the way they redefine level is equal distance from the center to the outer circumference of the sphere, right? That's what level means, right? But that's funny because that contradicts their claim of an oblate spheroid, right? They claim that Earth is like pear-shaped, right? It's not a perfect sphere, right? That contradicts their claim of level, which is equal distance from the center to the outer, which will make a perfect circle. So even in their model, water is not even level.
Well, the Earth can't be a perfect circle because
it's not a perfect circle.
That's what I'm saying. So you're saying
elliptical,
that's what they say. Yeah, like pear-shaped. It's chubbier from the bottom than the top, right? That's what they say. But again, that would mean that water level, it's at different curves at different places on Earth. So it's not even a constant curve, by their own definition, which will be equal distance from the center to the outer circumference. What do you call that device that you make circles with? That you put a point in the center?
I can't remember what it's called.
So basically that's what they're redefining as level. So you put that, you move it 4 inches out, and then you make a circle. 4 inches equal from this, that makes a perfect circle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the heliocentric model, the ball Earth, has contradictions left, right, and center. Once you look into this, everything is just made up. All the numbers from the globe are made up. Because again, water shows us that. It's the number one proof. So have you guys heard of the term sea level? Yeah, right? Level meaning horizontal. Again, they try to redefine level, but it only exists on paper. Physics shows otherwise. So they try to call flat earthers science deniers and all this bullshit. Like, again, they're just trying to flip the script. They're the science deniers, the heliocentric model, the people that push that.
Okay, well, what about the people that have traveled all the way around the globe?
Right. So circumnavigation is just circles around a plane, around a center point. So I'll show you this map. Again, this is a PSYOP as well, because nobody knows the dimensions of the Earth. But North Pole will be the center point. So east and west will just be circles. And that's why people have to autocorrect when they go east. You know, eventually they're going off route, they have to autocorrect every time, because north will just be a center point. And east and west will just be circles around that point. And south, again, will just be away from the center, which will be this ice wall or Antarctica, right? A lot of people think that the reason they don't let us explore out here is because maybe we'll find another earth pond over here. There could be other civilizations, you know, that probably don't even use money, if you ask me. I think money is one of the ways we're being enslaved. The fact that we need to use money. I think money should have been a commodity only. You know, people that don't want to do things for themselves, right? But the fact that we're all forced to use money is part of the way how we're being controlled, basically.
This is the North Pole, right?
This will be the North Pole. Again,
and that's the center?
That'll be of the
okay.
Earth. Yeah.
So how...
Well,
so the distance from here to here...
Like, how does seasons
Hold on. Let me ask that question. The distance from here to here, this is like... That's Japan right there? Or somewhere right here?
Like that,
and this is California. This is where we are.
Right.
This is so short compared to, like, look at how far South America to Australia is. So how come when I take a plane from California to Japan, how come the, like, hours-wise flight isn't so much shorter than the flight it would take from South America to Australia?
Okay, I'm glad you brought these 2 points up, because I was going to bring that up right now.
Yeah.
So on a globe, Australia and South America are pretty much almost next to each other, because it starts to come, you know, on a ball. Right?
Yeah.
Let me just bring it out for reference. Right? Where's the... What's right here? Whatever. Point being is South America will be down here, and Australia will be down here. So we are a very short route, right? I don't know if you knew this, but again, this is just stories, which again, I go with physics, but I'll just tell you this. A lot of people that book a flight from South America to Australia, there's no flight that exists directly from there. So in other words, they always stop in North America. And the excuse is they stop for fuel. So on a globe, it looks like they're going up and then they're going back down. But in reality, they're just going straight. And they just make a stop here and they just keep going. So again, on a globe, it just looks like they're going up and then they're going back down. That direct flight, that short path doesn't exist. And again, well, all these little things start to come together, basically. And it's like, holy shit, you know? But again, even if there was a flight that supposedly did connect these two, because you got these people that supposedly say, oh, I've been on that flight, and and it exists. Well, it might exist, but it's like these private planes that maybe fly faster than normal commercial flights, you know? Nobody really knows, but again, you know, I would say this map is wrong anyway. So to try to use a map to debunk, you know, or to prove the globe, I would say is illogical, because nobody knows the dimensions of
How
Earth.
do you explain seasons?
Okay, I'm glad you brought it up. So they're actually show right here. So like I said, the sun is very small and very close to the Earth. So when it's our summer, the sun is basically closer, spinning above us, closer to the center. So that's why the south has like 3 months of darkness, when the sun is more closer to the center. When it's our winter, it starts to open up. So now they have their summer, and now we have our winter, because the sun's further from us now. And I don't know if you knew, when it's their summer, they experience like 2 or 3 days of darkness as well, the north, in Alaska. They experience like 3 days of darkness.
If the sun was so close like that, how is it possible that it's so cold up here? Does heat not come from the sun then?
Yeah, heat does come from it, but again, I would say this map is not correct. In other words, they claim that there could be continents. In other words, this could be more expanded out. Okay. And there could be more lands in the center. We don't know that.
So wouldn't this then, like, always be, like, ice cold if it was so far from the sun?
Well, that's why Antarctica, that's why this is frozen.
You're right, but South America isn't that cold.
Right. Again,
It's actually really humid.
Yeah, it's like very tropical, right? Because it's close to the equator, is what they say, right?
Yeah.
So anything that's close to the equator, it's going to get average sunlight throughout the whole year, right? Because that's the center, right? So again, I think that's why it doesn't freeze up, because again, first of all, we don't know the exact dimensions. This is just a rough draft, you know? I would say, again, this is wrong as well. For all we know, all these continents could just be on one side over here, and we're being told that we're going all around it. But in reality, I'm not a pilot. And even pilots don't even navigate themselves anymore. They just follow a GPS. And they admit to this. You know what I'm saying? So we could easily be being lied to about the layout of the Earth, basically. So, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what the Earth actually looks like. What I do know is that the surface of water doesn't bend. You know, it's part of the physics of water. It doesn't it's formless. Water's formless.
Yeah, sorry to take up so much of your time. I have another question though.
Sure.
Like the planes, we were talking about pilots.
Yeah.
How if the Earth is constantly coming up and the plane doesn't have, the plane is using forward motion to fly, not upward motion.
I don't know if you knew this. Well, first of all, the reason why they have wings is to get a buoyant force.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know if you knew this as well. Airplanes don't fly 100% straight. They actually fly 1 or 2 degrees with their nose pointing up.
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself, why are they not flying straight? Why are they flying with their nose slightly up? I think it's to maintain, and that's to maintain level altitude.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say because gravity's pulling them down. So they have to, since the plane is so heavy, they have to fight their way up against gravity.
I would say, that's the explanation but regarding the pulling force of gravity. But again, if it was the Earth constant motion, that's what's creating a pressure grading with the air, is making it compact. And that pressure of the air with the wings is able to basically push it up. That's what buoyancy is. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Buoyancy is an upwards push. So again, if you take the wings out of the plane, what's going to happen? It's going to start to come back down. So the Earth is going to start to come in contact with it, in other words. So you need the wings to get that lift, basically.
So how long have you spent researching all this?
Since 2016.
2016.
So this has started getting sent, it's been censored since day one. Let me just tell you that. In my opinion, this was a controlled release. So they're trying to control the narrative, and a lot of flat earthers that claim the Earth is motionless, I would say, not everybody's lying, but I would say that's the controlled opposition. So that's how they're trying to discredit someone like me, for example, by just lumping me in with those people that claim the Earth is flat and motionless. But the fact is the Earth is in constant motion, and that's what gravity is. You know what I'm saying?
How much time do you think you would have spent between all those 6 years? How much time do you think you spent trying to do all of this?
Okay, so this presentation, I'm doing now, I only started doing it a little over a year ago. So I only started coming out to the public in 2022, because again, I'm antisocial, dude. I hate public speaking. So it was kind of hard for me to come out and do this, but the fact that this is being heavily censored, misrepresenting people like me, for example, and to me, it's just not fair for the rest of us that didn't really come across this genuinely. So again, that's part of the reason why I'm out here, is just because it is being heavily censored, and again, misrepresenting is one of the main reasons. And again, these motionless flat earthers, I will personally not even take them serious. You know what I'm saying? They're using the same ideology that the globe uses. You know what I'm saying?
Can I take a picture of this? I want to go over this map later.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you could take the flyer too. I have plenty of those.
Flyer too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, here we go.
But I still don't understand how is this any different from flat Earth? I don't understand.
Because flat has nothing to do with orientation. Level does. Something that's level has orientation. That's why it's level. And again, in order for something to have orientation, there needs to be motion. So the Earth does have orientation, which means it's in constant motion. So again, these flat, motionless earthers are just there to confuse, basically. You know, I don't even call myself a flat earther. I think that's silly.
Yeah.
You know, it's just part of the name calling, just to make it cringy, basically. They're just trying to make this as cringy as possible so that people don't even look at it. That's the tactic. Literally.
So what do you think of all the people that have been in space?
All the astronauts are liars, 100%. Astronauts, 100%
I've heard that one is, I feel like, is more popular than
now. The people on mission control, they could just believe whatever they're being told.
They're told.
Yeah, exactly. But the astronauts are 100% lying.
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
We'll get out of here. Or unless you want to ask more questions, but the human eye, the distance that we can see is about 10-ish miles.
That's at 5 feet above sea level.
Yeah.
5 to 6 feet above. Your horizon is between 6 to 9 miles. But if you increase that out to 20 feet, your horizon is going to be probably at 20 miles or more. So it depends. Again, it's based on altitude.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say whatever it is, even if it's 20 miles.
Sure.
How would we be able to the fraction of this right here? That might be 20 miles.
Okay, sure,
fingernail sliver would be.
If we're looking at it from this perspective, God's eye view, then But if we zoom in, it should look like this. Right?
Who did this?
This is me.
This is your map?
This one was made by Brian Willing, which is a physics major. He made this in 2016, again, when this blew up on the internet. And his career was threatened if he didn't stop talking about this. So I don't know if he's genuine or not, or he's part of the, point being is that this is the exact curvature formula of the radius of telling us. And yeah, the horizon should start to bend. It should never appear. So when you elevate right here, if you start to elevate, the horizon, if it's sloping down, it should never appear like the ground is rising up to your field of view. You know what I'm saying? It should never do that. But the fact is, when we elevate, the horizon does appear to rise in our field of view. You know? That's why the horizon is always in front of you like this. You never look down.
Is this about like is the world flat?
Level. It's level.
I don't want to like insinuate that you don't
Here,
know math.
these are the 6 main proofs that debunk the globe. Natural physics.
I just want to ask, has your math ever been checked?
Well,
Have you checked, like, obviously
well,
you check your own math.
Yeah. So the water being level, we all accept that, right?
Yeah.
Even globers will say, oh, it's locally flat water, right? So if you claim that water starts to bend at a certain distance, if that's your claim, then the burden of proof is on you to provide that proof.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of globers would like to switch the burden of proof to like, oh, you prove it's flat. And it's like, what's the obvious? We all accept that it's flat. You globers are claiming that it starts to bend after I don't know how many miles. Again, this is the exact miles. They don't even realize it, but they're claiming that water bends after the first mile, second mile, third mile. Their burden of proof is on them to prove that because physics shows otherwise. You know what I'm saying?
I'm also confused on how it changes per mile like this. Like, why?
Yeah, because we're measuring the radius to the center, so that's going to create a curve, obviously, right?
But if it was a sphere, wouldn't it? Maybe I'm like foolish for that, but I just don't see how it could change this much over the span of a mile. I would just have to do the math.
Yeah. So you would think that Earth is just much bigger than they're telling us, then, right? Or you just either that, or you think this math is wrong, right? It's one of the two in your mind, right?
I'm not saying this math is wrong. I'm saying that over a mile for it to change 2 feet and then to change 3 feet, 3+ feet.
Yeah, and then by 10 miles it's 66 feet. That's a 6-story building in 10 miles.
Yeah.
That the Earth should, or the water should bend. And there's lakes that are over 20 miles across. Mm-hmm. So at 20 miles, we could look right here. It should be, 266 feet. And who knows how tall that building is? How many stories it is? That's a lot in 20 miles. The water should be bending.
Who made this?
Yeah, that was
He was a pilot.
You could say that, but again, he's not longer in the scene. And again, part of the reason, again, it's just a story, is that his career was threatened if he didn't stop talking about this.
Where did he work?
He's a physics major. I don't know if he worked with some government contractors, probably.
Wait, so is this backed by NASA anymore or no?
Oh yeah, this is a radius. Yeah, if you Google.
No, I'm talking about this.
Is
this
they don't
backed by NASA?
They don't represent these numbers because it's not in their best interest. Because people are going to start to realize that it's ridiculous. But they do represent this number.
Yeah, they represent this.
Yeah.
But did they ever represent this at one point?
There's a reason why they don't show us those numbers. Because like you said, it looks ridiculous.
So does anyone represent these numbers other than him or no?
I mean, real people like me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, anybody in this topic, even globers will accept this. Even globe defenders online,
so
even trolls, basically.
So all of this is just based off this
of the radius
one guy right here. So.
No. It's based on the radius. This is math. Anybody
No,
can come
but
up
he
with
made this.
No. But he made it in a computer using the radius of the Earth that we're being told. So he just didn't. These numbers are not made up. They're based on the radius of the Earth.
Based on the radius, assuming the Earth is a perfect globe.
Exactly.
The Earth is not assumed to be a perfect globe by NASA.
I know.
It's actually assumed to be. Wait, so then these numbers aren't legitimate.
Exactly. So they debunked their own claim of level. I don't know if you knew that they're redefining level as equal distance from the center to the outer circumference.
Well, that's how science works. No?
Science
as they learn more.
Yeah, as they learn more, they have to change the different theories.
Yeah, even if you think that Earth is an oblate spheroid, the surface of water should show that.
So what do you believe? No.
Well, I know that the physics of water, the surface of it, it's level at all times.
Level relative to what?
Level relative to the vertical. Perpendicular.
What defines vertical in space?
The motion of the Earth. The Earth is in constant motion.
In which axis, according to you?
Well, up. The Earth is a level plane that's in
constant motion, moving up.
Moving up relative to us. So up relative to us.
It's a disk moving up, or what is it?
No, it's not a disk. Nobody knows what's outside of the Earth.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, the Earth is a contained system, so outer space is just a theory.
So water remains level relative
to the motion vector.
To the motion.
Yeah, to the motion of the Earth.
So you don't believe in gravity then?
Well, gravity is the motion of the Earth. It's a pushing force, not pulling.
Well, that's not what gravity is defined at. And gravity is also not a force, as defined by modern physics.
I know. So you're familiar with the Einstein theory of relativity?
Yeah.
Bending, you know what it says?
Well, you can tell me what it
Yeah,
says.
so it basically debunked Newton's theory of mass attracting mass, that objects accelerate down. Einstein's
Well, it
theory
actually
of
doesn't debunk it. It just explains it as not being a force and that the space is actually shifting.
Exactly.
But-
So it's the Earth coming into contact with this. It's not this coming into contact
Yeah.
with the Earth. So that wouldn't make sense from a globe because that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding in all directions.
No, it doesn't say that it have to be expanding though, because
The bending and
One
warping of
second, wait,
space.
can you explain this again? Like what are all the stars at? Like, how do you explain that? Like, all
Well, the stars
in the
are,
sky?
I would say they're fixed. I don't know if there's a ceiling, but there is I would say the Earth has to be contained because we have air pressure.
So you think like someone has a fucking projector? And, like,
no.
Gravity can't
I don't know the
explain air
cause.
pressure?
I don't know the cause of the lights. What's creating those lights?
gravity can't explain Earth, the air pressure.
Well, I don't know if you knew gravity is just a theory.
Well,
It's
so
not
is
even a law.
evolution and a lot of things. Everything's just a theory. What's your background?
Well,
if you
water being level is not a theory. That can be proven.
Well, it's an observation actually. Because
Well, we can
you can't
measure it,
observe-
though.
Well, you can't observe all water in the universe.
What will be your
Right.
definition? Of,
Wait, hold on.
Okay,
But-
sure.
No, I'm not going to definitions
Sure.
with you, but you
No,
just
go
said
for it.
something that's
Sure.
completely a theory.
Okay, sure.
You said water in all aspects of the universe would be level.
No.
Right?
When
you
water's-
haven't observed the
okay,
whole universe,
when
so
water's-
it would be a theory that.
No. When water's contained, the surface is always level. If you claim that surface of water bends after a certain distance, then the burden of proof is on you to prove that. Because physics shows that water is always level.
What physical theory would prove that? Because technically, there's not really proofs in physics, no.
I mean, the laws of the
Wait,
physics.
how would you define a proof in physics?
Okay.
Because proofs are only really applicable in
Okay.
mathematics. You know that, right?
Okay, I would say.
What do you
Let me see.
I'm a
Okay.
major in computer science. and
Okay.
I work with satellites for
So-
the government. So. I work on satellites.
Satellites?
Yeah, I do. I work for National Oceanic Atmospheric Association. I actually
Okay.
work.
I don't know if you knew all the images they're showing us from outer space from satellites are all images, they're not photographs.
Actually, I don't work on images. I actually work on geomagnetic data. So it's a satellite that's in the air,
And what
it
is
would
it?
actually take magnetic data of the Earth and from the shape and different metals and such.
So you measure the Earth's curvature with.
I don't measure curvature, so.
So how would you justify that the Earth is a ball? Then let me ask you that.
What do you mean?
Physically, using the scientific method of measuring, testable, repeatable.
Well, if we assume that camera footage isn't fake, then you could just send a camera up, which would prove it.
So if I showed you a picture of me flying, would you believe I could fly? Would that
Yeah,
prove?
well, I meant if you assumed it wasn't a lie and you took actual camera footage,
No,
which
my-
I also have done because I worked on cube satellites that I built myself with an Arduino. And we sent it up with a balloon.
My point is that if a claim defies physics, like me flying, for example, and I show you
Yeah.
an image, that image has to be thrown away.
Well, unless the image was shown to not be edited.
Well, that's the
right.
thing. NASA doesn't produce unedited.
Well, NASA's actually not the provider of most satellite data in the United States.
Who
you
is?
could look this up. It's actually NOAA. So
And,
this is
and they provide real photographs or no?
well, NOAA actually doesn't provide image data as much as they do actual physical data. So it'd be like magnetism, you have air pressure, wind pressure, we do hurricane for severe weather. And so a lot of the ways that calculations are done for predicting severe weather, it actually relies on curvature for distances and stuff because it's a non-Euclidean distance.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up Euclidean. That's going to be my next subject. So are you familiar with Euclidean plane geometry?
Yeah, I mean on a basic level that I've done for classes.
So basically, I don't know if you knew, all the blueprints
Yeah.
basically that we use to construct railroads, bridges, don't take account of Earth's curvature. They're all plumbs and levels. All the
Are
blueprints.
you familiar with approximation theory of
it's-
calculus?
I'm not-
because a lot of things
So
are
theories
so
now.
irrelevant. Huh?
It's a theory.
Well, no, calculus isn't a theory. It's a way of approximating.
No, that the approximation theory you're talking about.
Well, I mean, you could. It's also kind of like the central limit theorem of statistics that if you went, things would approach it. What's your background, if you don't mind me asking you? Because you are laughing at me. It's a bit.
No, it's
I'm not trying to check you.
No,
It's
it's
just you know
fine, it's fine.
I'm a grown man. So
No, I would like to stick to the topic at hand.
I know, but wait, what's your background? I'm just
It's
asking.
irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Wait,
to be
okay,
honest.
wait, hold on. I'm just asking, man.
It's irrelevant. I'll choose not to answer that.
It's irrelevant because
Because we're talking about basic physics that anyone can understand. I
how's
don't
it?
need
Well, basic would actually be subjective to the viewer, right? And so
Yeah.
that being basic, you would actually need to justify your experience level to say that it's basic.
Yeah,
right?
water being level at all times, regardless of orientation, it levels out.
But you can understand that that's not exactly like a science. That's like a very basic observation.
Yeah, exactly, very basic physics.
Well, not everything that's basic is basic physics, right? Because
Yeah, but water is.
You could say water is, right?
Yeah, water is, and that's the one proof that debunks the globe. So here's another thing: are you familiar with a plumb line or a downwards vector?
Wait. But going back to approximation, a theory, you realize it's just approaching zero. That's calculus. So that's why I asked your background, because I was wondering if you understood limits, and I assume you do. So, right, with railroads, right? If you went small enough, do you think if we went down to this table and we went small enough, we'd have to account for the little indents? No, because it'd be so small that the little indents don't matter, and that's what
Like if
approximation.
you're building hundreds of miles of railroads, and I would assume you take account of Earth's curvature, 8 inches per mile square is the claim
By who? By this?
by the radius of the Earth. So whoever
But this
claims-
is wait. This is according to the Earth being a perfect sphere, which we already agreed on, which was
But
false.
even if it
So
wasn't
that'd
a
be false
perfect,
precedent.
even if it wasn't a perfect sphere, do you agree there should be curvature or not?
Yeah, of course there should be curvature,
that's
but
the point.
curvature would not be noticeable until a reasonable distance.
So that's
So
what I'm
if-
saying. The burden of proof is on you to claim that to prove that curvature does exist after that certain
So
distance.
then you're saying that the proof that's been presented is false.
Yeah, images from the outer space. Yeah, those are just.
What about
cartoons.
geomagnetic data that would show
magnetism has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth.
It actually wait. Are you
Magnetism?
serious?
What does magnetism have to do with the
So
shape of the Earth?
okay, I'll explain
Yeah,
magnetism
please,
to you.
please.
So magnetism, you North Pole, South Pole. You're familiar, right?
That's what I'm told.
So, given what you believe, right? I'm assuming you believe that the Arctic Circle and that's that type thing, right? You believe in the Arctic Circle, that the Earth is like pushed down in the Arctic Circle would contain
I'm
us.
familiar with all these different concepts. Yeah.
So in magnetism, there's a positive and a negative,
Right.
and that determines the flow of magnetism.
Sure.
Do you
Yeah.
believe
I-
magnetism? You
yeah.
believe
Magnets can be
magnetism's real,
measured.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I accept magnets.
So when we send a satellite around the Earth and we're looking at the magnetic field, you observe lines going from this to this, and we go around. And so, unless you assume that all the data coming from NOAA, which is actually publicly
you
accessible,
could physically
that's why I asked
see
your background.
electromagnetic field.
Well, you could physically see it once you use sensors that would detect it. It's called remote sensing technology. That's why I asked your background, just because I have a feeling,
I don't know if you could
I have a
see
feeling you
it.
don't have a technical background. That's why I want to simplify it, because
Right.
I do work. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'd love to present it
Okay,
to
so-
you, but I don't think you have enough of. I would
So wait.
love
So
to-
how did you prove the curvature using magnetism?
I didn't prove it. I'm just saying that you can observe it as you go around. I'm not trying to prove it to you. I'm just saying like it seems I hate, like, I don't even know how to explain it to you, because it's like, I'm just saying, like, when a satellite goes around the Earth, right, and we're picking up this image data, like the sensing of, we have sensors and we have computers, we use supercomputers, and we can take the distance of the strength of magnetic field. When you construct it, it's in a ball. And I also, yeah, you can see images, and I do have a security clearance, and I'd hate to break it to you, man. It's not as I don't know. I don't think it's as simple as saying, water is flat, so it's all
Level.
flat.
It's level
Level relative to what?
to the motion vector. The motion of the Earth. The Earth is in constant
Well,
motion.
that's actually, but then you're ignoring gravity, right?
Well, that is gravity. It's the
Gravity
motion. It's a
isn't
pushing.
motion.
It's a pushing force. Pulling forces don't exist.
Gravity isn't a force.
The only forces
You're
that
saying it's the normal force? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the only forces that exist in reality is pressure variance. So something pressing on something else.
The nuclear force that holds all things together isn't a pressure variant. You know that the thing that holds atoms together, it's actually called the nuclear force. It's the
anything
strongest
to do with
force.
atoms is conceptual. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, so you don't believe in atoms?
No. What gives rise to this reality? Those are
okay.
concepts.
Atoms.
Those are
Okay.
concepts.
So
Yeah.
if you split a table, how many times could you split this table before
that's
you reach
theoretical.
the smallest?
That's theoretical. I thought about that before.
Wait, so modern chemistry? You know modern chemistry and the things that are used to make your Apple Watch.
Yeah, I accept that because it's
But
tangible.
modern chemistry relies on atoms. You know that, right? Valence electrons.
I would say that they
Have
they
you ever
put that-
taken a high level chemistry course?
I mean, I would say they implement these concepts
so you
in
haven't.
real
So you-
physics just
wait,
to just.
so you haven't, though?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so that would explain your lack of knowledge on valence electrons. So
Okay.
if you actually look at the periodic table, the way that all elements,
Sure.
do you believe in elements?
I mean, yeah, substance.
So elements,
Substance, yeah.
the
Matter.
property of an
That's
element is
matter.
derivable from the protons and neutrons,
Just like the
which are a
substance of
concept
water
atoms.
doesn't bang.
Oh wait, hold up! But I don't like. I'm.
Oh,
I'm
you don't
trying to-
care about the simplicity
No,
of
I'm
reality,
just.
huh?
I just don't like to go back, and I know that you probably don't have a formal debate background as well. But I'm
Okay.
just trying to explain to you, like, you believe in atoms, right? If you believe in elements.
I believe that something is giving rise to this reality. I don't know what that is.
And you said
I don't know what
atoms
that
are
is.
not related to chemistry. You said this.
That's conceptual, yeah. If you're claiming atoms are a real thing, that's a concept.
All of chemistry relies on the concept of atoms.
I'm glad you call it a concept. A concept means it's not real. It's not.
Wait, so
actual.
you've never taken a high-level chemistry course? You've never used a supercomputer? You've
Okay.
never used an
Okay,
electron
how does
microscope?
that prove curvature?
I'm not saying it. No, I'm not.
No, it's not.
I'm
The
not saying
physics
it
of
proves
water is not a
curvature.
concept. It's reality. We can use it. People use it in construction every day. Water to make sure things are level.
Well,
It's
that
the
comes
number-
back to approximation.
Yeah. In other words, you're claiming that at a bigger distance it starts to curve.
It doesn't start to curve. It's relative to the gravity, which is.
Equal distance from the surface to the.
It's not equidistant.
That's what they claim. If you look at the definition on
It has
paper,
nothing to do with distance. It has to do with mass. And also, you did say
That's
that
what
you
they-
don't believe in atoms, right? So you don't believe, right?
well, I know this reality is made up of something.
So
but atoms is just a concept.
So when we create medicine, and we're using valence electrons and chemical
We're going
reactions.
completely off topic right now.
I know, but you're kind of showing that you do have a lack of a scientific background. I'd love to. So if I were to take you, this is a theoretical thing, right? If I were to just show you footage of me making a satellite, sending it up, footage from the ground to the sky, and it showed the Earth at a distance and it showed the globe, you wouldn't believe it, right? You'd say it's fake.
Well, all of these cameras, if people have done that, they use GoPro
Yeah.
cameras, so they warp horizontal lines.
Of course, fisheye cameras.
Fisheye
And that's to
lens.
give you a better view when you're actually.
I would say that's to give a false perspective, but
How would you know if you've never participated in formal science what the intention is?
I mean, I have.
You've
I
participated
understand-
in formal science?
I understand the basic how water behaves.
Understanding
the
of
basics.
behavior actually isn't science. It'd be the scientific method. I'm not sure if you.
Yeah, scientific method is this, a physically measurement.
Well, no, scientific method isn't a physical measurement.
What is
It
the
actually-
scientific method then?
You don't know the definition at all?
Measurable, testable, repeatable, observable.
It's taking a hypothesis, measuring, right? Which is,
Like
and
this.
I know you don't have a.
This is the most simplest experiment to debunk.
So then planets, I do see Saturn. Like, how would you explain that?
Yeah, these are just lights in the sky. Again, you have to make assumptions about what they are. These
Okay.
are constant, which means that's why they're called
Are you familiar
constellations.
with how, like, so you don't believe any of NASA's missions? were
Oh,
legitimate?
no.
Okay.
Anything outside of the Earth, anybody making claims of what's outside of the Earth is just a religion, if you ask me.
So if when I send a satellite up to look at geomagnetism for the Department of Defense, contracted by NOAA,
Right.
what are we looking at? We're looking at all fake data and we're doing fake science
I don't
for no
know.
reason?
I don't know what you're looking at. I'm not seeing what you're looking at. If I seen what you're looking at, if you could show me what you're looking at, I could tell you what it is.
It's all publicly available data, actually.
Oh, wait, what would be the point of like faking all of this? Like, what are they trying to hide? I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's a religious thing, right?
No.
You're not a Christian?
Religions are there to control, and the heliocentric model is the biggest religion. Because why? All religions are based on faith, and the heliocentric model is faith-based. There's
How
no.
so?
But you didn't
Yeah, you have
answer
to
the
believe in a
question.
pulling force of gravity, and that's the explanation to the whole heliocentric model. This force of gravity
But, like, what are
that
they-
warps.
what are they trying to
you know,
hide?
I thought we
and-
just agreed that gravity's not a force.
or the bending and warping of space-time is the explanation to why our planet's orbit, and all of this is just conceptual based off of theory.
Assuming that it's all a lie.
But it's based on a theory.
So, no, but your theory is that the camera footage is fake, right?
No, my
Wait, hold up. It is your theory that the camera footage is fake.
No,
'cause
my-
that's not foreseeable.
No.
Wait, you
Physics-
just said you thought the camera
I don't-
footage was fake.
I don't like to focus on. They admit it's fake.
Who?
NASA. They
So
don't.
wait, NOAA admits their data is fake as well?
I haven't looked at their website. so
Of
I
course
can-
you have, because you're not signed. But I mean, if
They're
you look
pretty-
at, I mean, come
They'll
on,
be
man.
the only. There will be the
Come on,
only
man.
institution that are taking real photographs of the Earth.
Huh?
They would be the only real institution that are supposedly. I mean, you.
What's the quotes?
They're real photographs.
You don't believe NOAA?
There's no real photographs of the Earth from space. I hate to break it to you.
Not even images that are
Images-
actually sensing things happening on Earth. So there's air pressure sensors, there are magnetism sensors, you have heat sensors, you have,
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with curvature.
but you would see the curvature once you took the distances of those measurements.
How would you see the curvature by taking the distances?
Okay, so if I had a magnet on the table
Yeah.
and I did a gun with the magnet, right?
Okay.
And it told you the distance based on the amount of magnetism coming off of it,
Sure,
right?
sure, like a
and
radar
you keep
gun,
doing
kind
it 1,000 times. In a computer, you could tell where the magnet was, right? Relative to where you took it.
Okay.
Okay,
No, I'm
It's
trying
hard to
to
explain.
I'm
but
trying to understand.
It's just crazy because I know, like, it's crazy. Like, I'd love to bring you to NOAA. I have a security clearance because it's like insane that you like genuinely. It's all based off that you don't think that
that water bends. Yeah, that's
Nobody
based-
said water bends though.
I mean, if you're claiming the Earth is a ball filled with oceans,
It bends
is the
relative to what? That's what I'm saying. Like,
No, well, in your model, it bends relative
this isn't
to gravity.
a model. This is a model saying that the Earth is perfectly
Okay,
spherical.
even if it was oblate sphere, you know, it's even if it was an oblate sphere.
So there is no radius then. There can't be a radius of an oblique sphere. You know
that. This
right?
is radius coming from NASA. You need to take that up. with
That's
them.
actually old data, and I'm not a part of NASA.
Well, you should take it up with the space agencies that are giving away this number. All the space agencies go with this number.
It's a general radius.
Even
it's
if it
not
wasn't a perfect sphere, would you have to? You have to accept that the surface of water has to bend to create.
It
the
doesn't
sphere.
bend though relative to the gravity.
Okay, relative to a horizontal line, does that bend?
There's no such thing as a objective horizontal line in space because it's space.
No, here on Earth, like a level structure like this, the water should.
It
bend.
depends on
The
how close.
Okay, so the water should deviate in your model, regardless of if it's an oblate sphere or not. It should deviate away from the level, right?
Have you ever seen the laser experiment where the flat earthers try and prove?
Yeah, that's I would say they.
Faked?
Yeah, no lasers. Have you heard of refraction before?
Yeah, through
Yeah,
water.
yeah. The air is like basically a moisture. So when you shine lasers through the air, you're gonna have refraction. So the reason why they're
What would
pushing
determine the direction of the refraction?
it's the atmosphere.
Wait, but what in the atmosphere would determine the direction of the refraction?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know because you're the one dereferencing.
No, I'm showing that there's always going to be reflection. Do you agree or
if
disagree?
I took a complete vacuum, so if I took you to the particle accelerator in Lawrence Livermore Academy, and we just pointed a laser in a complete vacuum, and it didn't hit the hole where you thought it would, and it went up, would that disprove your theory?
Will you have to create a vacuum that's miles across? And yeah, maybe that could be
That's
taken into
completely
consideration.
possible at Lawrence Livermore, right?
Okay,
And
cool.
so
I would love to see that
what's
experiment.
stopping you from, if you're so smart, why don't you just like go to college and then go to the particle accelerator?
It's not that
and
I'm
do the-
smart. It's just that the majority have been duped, and if anything, I'm as average as anyone.
I mean, you said you don't believe in atoms, though, so it's like kind of hard to explain.
why do you believe in atoms? Let me ask.
Okay,
you.
wait. So if you think the atmosphere is moisture, then you'd accept that the atmosphere is atoms in the air.
I don't know what the air's made out of. How do you zoom into the air if it's see-through?
How do you explain like nuclear bombs and stuff? 'Cause that's
Oh yeah,
splitting-
it's the
that's
nuclear.
splitting
Yeah, nuclear
atoms.
fission.
Splitting
That's how a
atoms.
nuclear bomb works. It uses the nuclear.
Okay, what does that
force.
have to do with the shape of the Earth?
But you're
Because
saying
you just said
atoms
that
not real.
you just said that atoms aren't
How does
real.
nuclear bombs prove curvature of the Earth?
No, I'm just
saying atoms
because
are
you referenced that atoms are not real as a counter argument.
What gives rise to this reality? Matter. I accept that it's made out of something, right? To claim that it's little balls that are next to each other.
Nobody said they're balls. They're just modeled as that.
Okay, exactly, because they're a concept. Nobody
But they're-
actually knows what reality is made out of. That's my
I mean,
point.
yeah, once you go past atoms, but atoms are a pretty well accepted thing in the scientific community.
Yeah, it's accepted. It's a consensus in it. It hasn't been proven. That's why it's only conceptual.
Does chemistry not prove it? Being able to do chemistry?
Yeah, chemistry, you could do experiments, but to claim you know what matter's made out of, that's a concept. Yeah, you could have reactions when you mix things, and stuff like that.
Have you
yeah.
ever seen the periodic table?
Yeah.
So
What does it have to do with
atoms? Well, if you don't know what atoms have to do with the periodic table?
No, it's what supposedly makes up the matter, which is in the periodic table. You're going
But
to
there's an entire system.
Yes,
related-
gold,
okay.
there's
And
water.
we can just leave the atoms.
There's
'cause,
different
like,
elements. Yeah,
you're not going to
accept
get
that.
very far in building anything if you don't think atoms are real. Like you can go to the bioengineering lab and they use them all the time.
Okay.
But
I guess that proves the globe then.
it doesn't prove the globe, but it's just like kind of weird that I don't. It's like weird.
Well, let's stick to the globe, the geometry of the globe. What,
So just this, the water. That's the one thing.
Euclidean plane geometry, the geometry that is used to construct everything we see.
Euclidean?
Euclidean.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
of course,
All the
'cause
blueprints-
approximation.
all the
If you zoom
blueprints are
out
Euclidean.
if you were to zoom out far enough, of course, it would be non-Euclidean. That's approximation.
That's an assumption.
It's
That you
not an
have-
assumption. It's literally the most integral part of calculus, which is used to build most structures.
I've never seen blueprints with curved lines.
Of course not, because it's an approximation of straightness.
don't
I mean,
know.
are you an
Do you understand what he's
architect?
saying? I actually don't understand.
I wouldn't. Of course, you don't understand it. I mean, it's.
understand some of it.
I mean, it's higher education.
No, I understand what he's trying to say.
It's higher
but-
education. Like.
Okay, so
it's, like,
so
hard
the
to
blueprints
explain.
are not plums and levels. That's what you're saying.
Plums and what?
Plums and levels.
Of course they are, because it's approximation. It doesn't matter after a certain point. It's so small on the scale. Like the curve is so small that it doesn't make a difference.
So if you make the blueprints longer, then they will start to curve.
If you build a big enough structure, of course, but there's no
how long?
there's no
how,
possible
how
way
long
to
does
build.
the structure have to be?
I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that if you went past a certain point,
So it's just an assumption you're making right now.
Well, you're saying it would
It's not
only
an
have to be
assumption.
Yeah,
a
based
mile.
based on the radius. Yeah.
based on the radius that's of a false premise of an Earth that's perfectly spherical. So this isn't, this isn't usable, right? I mean, we already agreed that it's not usable.
Even if it was twice the size, they say, half of this curvature should still be there. Even if it was
Based
less,
on what calculation?
based on the radius of the Earth. Like even if
Based
you
on
say,
the radius of a perfectly spherical Earth?
even if it wasn't perfectly sphere, it still has to have curvature.
Of course, yeah.
Exactly. So that
but it
curvature-
wouldn't be a general actual
Okay,
approximation.
even if it wasn't a general,
You couldn't generalize something if it wasn't a generalized shape.
Even if it was whatever you're saying it is, it shouldn't be this.
It shouldn't
but
be
is,
that.
But it is.
But it is that.
And this proves that the Earth is
At
level.
a certain distance. And then if you zoom out far enough, no.
Okay, what's that distance? You keep talking about this distance, this magical distance that the water.
Well,
what
in
distance
science
is
we
that?
use variables.
Okay,
if you
give me
don't
the
know
distance.
the exact, I can't give you the exact distance because it's a variable that I don't know off the top of my head. It's not about memorization.
No.
Such a bad.
Yeah, are you familiar with algebra? It's a variable.
Yeah,
It's a placeholder.
algebra. Actually, are you familiar with the Pythagorean theorem? It's
Of
for-
course, yeah, and that's based on a Euclidean space.
Exactly, and that debunks the curvature of the Earth as well.
How so? How would that debunk? How would something happening at a small distance?
Because
I don't
again,
understand what you're trying to
you
say.
keep saying that it curves at a bigger rate, but you don't even know that rate that you're claiming.
I don't have to know the rate because
Exactly.
it's when you do engineering.
It feels
you
like
don't
you're
need to
just
know.
saying that just to dismiss this simple stuff, and I feel like
So
you're just
what-
making up this variable that.
Wait,
should-
so but this is all based on the assumption that I'm lying to you though about
No,
sending a
just-
satellite up. No, it is. Everything you've said is based on the assumption
Just because you
that
send
sending
a rock, just because you
no
send,
sending a satellite and knowing that it orbits around the Earth. what it is, you have to admit, it is based on the premise that when I tell you that there is a satellite above the Earth and it comes around, you're saying that is a false premise and it's a lie and it's all made up and all the data that comes from it is false. On what premise? Don't you have to prove that?
Well, you have to prove that, first of all, that Earth is a ball, first of all, to be able to
What would
claim
it
that you're
take to
going
prove
around
it to you? What would it take to prove it to you?
Physics.
No,
Water
but no.
and
If I
specific. A
took
physical
you in a
measurement of-
spaceship and sent you up, you wouldn't believe it, right? You think the windows were
I
straight?
want a physical measurement of water bending like this.
Wait, so seeing the Earth, if I sent you in a spaceship and you saw the Earth, that wouldn't be enough for you?
First of all, I would be open for that, but that doesn't exist. Nobody actually goes to space. Space is a concept.
Based on what?
Based on the... You familiar with entropy?
You can go out and
No.
see rockets going up in the air. Like
Yeah, they
this.
shoot rockets up, but then they curve. Go look again. They always curve.
Yeah, because that's how you
Because
can go
gravity?
over it.
Because they're saying they're going over the curve of the Earth. And it's funny how the
that's
Earth's
not
always...
true at all.
Yeah,
that's what they
that's
say.
how you-
I mean, you
That's
look it up.
what, who says?
NASA.
I'd
They're
love
the-
to see the quote, because
Yeah,
that doesn't
you-
make, like, that's not a, like, what? That
You just
doesn't
look at
make
a space
sense.
launch. They all curve back down to the Earth, basically.
Have you ever looked at flight paths?
Flight
Why
paths-
don't we fly this way to get to places?
We do. Everyone flies in straight lines.
They fly in straight lines, according to this, right?
Yeah, and right here, it will make perfect sense.
But that's
on the-
non-Euclidean, right?
This is
then that
this
would
is
account
Euclidean.
for that.
The globe is non-Euclidean.
Well, if you do non-Euclidean computations on a non-Euclidean surface, of course you can transform them to Euclidean on a Euclidean. That's okay, and it's
It's-
hard to explain polar coordinates versus non-polar. It'd be hard to explain that, but,
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the dimensions of the Earth are unknown. I don't claim this is what the Earth looks like. I only show it for reference. The fact is, nobody knows the true layout of the continents and what it actually looks like, what's outside, what the container looks like. Nobody knows. Again,
so
what's
space is not real. It's
Nope.
all a lie.
Yep.
It's based on
outer space. Yeah, it's just a concept.
What I would tell you is actually all of NOAA's data is publicly available. So if you go to the National Oceanic Atmospheric Association, they provide most of the data that actually is used by the world.
Sure.
Most scientific people are going to use NOAA data if they're doing anything related to the atmosphere. You could look at that, and I think you see something different. I don't think your mind's going to
It
change.
says no evolution right here.
Yeah.
You don't believe in evolution?
Oh no. That's a creation story. All
So you don't
relate-
believe in DNA though, right?
Well, again, I accept that this reality is made up of something, but humans, I think it's very arrogant for humans to think they know what that
But
is.
like DNA, like, do you believe in it or no?
I mean, I accept that people, do tests about DNA and are able to, like, I'm assuming that, like, a piece of your hair has, like, a fingerprint, like a pattern, and that's
So-
how they're able to determine,
Yeah.
I would
so-
assume. I
so
don't know
DNA,
exactly.
So,
Yeah, I
like,
accept that.
Like, can we go
Well-
to like evolution
Sure.
class? Like, so in the industrial evolution, there was moths in New England or England, and that there were white moths before the industrial revolution. The smog made them turn black. How do you explain that?
Okay, so there is a natural adaptation.
That's,
So
that's
evolution.
evolution.
No, evolution.
That's
No.
the
I'm gonna tell you the
definition
difference.
of
I'm gonna tell you the
natural
difference.
selection.
I'm gonna tell you the difference.
believe in
Evolution.
human
Evolution claims one species transformed to a different species.
That's not true.
Over time,
Exactly.
it's
That's
called
not-
over time. It's called speciation.
That's evolution. That has never been proven.
It's called speciation. Well,
Yeah,
you can't prove
that's a
things
theory.
that happen at
Over
millions.
millions of years, of course, that's going to happen.
Well, that's what we're. If you want to believe that, again, that's
So
just a
dinosaurs
creation.
aren't real either.
Yeah, like what about fossils?
That's irrelevant. I'm not even gonna get into stuff
But it's
like that.
irrelevant to it's relevant.
No,
to
when it comes to the
evolution.
shape of the
What about
Earth,
fossils? You can
talking
go to
about
a museum.
dinosaurs.
You can go to a museum and see the fossils.
Okay, when it comes to dinosaurs, you
I
guys
know
should
you don't
look
believe
this
in
up. Look this up.
dinosaurs
Look
either.
this
Yeah,
up.
it's okay.
All the dinosaurs in museums are basically how do they call them? They're basically fake, and they admit to it. You could go
Well,
to any
you
museum.
can have literally things worth millions of dollars hanging
Right,
where
that's the
people could
excuse.
touch them.
Yeah, but if you became an anthropologist or whatever it's
called
called,
a paleontologist.
paleontologist, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they
you will
literally
not be
find-
allowed to study these original bones still.
That's actually not true because you can see in the labs if you went to the I actually lived in DC when I was working for
Right.
NOAA. You can go to the labs and see them working on stuff. You think it's paid
if you wanna,
actors?
if you want to believe that, that's fine.
It's paid actors
No,
performing science
no.
on the fossils, or they're just doing it to
No,
clay.
everybody
or-
that works, most of the people that work for NASA that are not astronauts, just
not
believe.
NASA, it's
just
the
no,
Natural
it's
History
the same.
Museum is
It's the
under
same
the-
concept. They
It's
just
not under
believe.
the jurisdiction of.
Okay, whoever's in charge of that department,
Yeah.
the people under them don't need to be on the line.
Well, this is what I'd leave you with because I know it's more of an evidence thing. The people that work at NASA are literally just people like us that go to school
Exactly.
and
That's what you're saying.
wait, and they go to school. Wait, and the way we know things to be true is because we send a rocket, and we know for a fact that we program the rocket to take a path based on theory of the Earth being curved, right? And then the rocket doesn't blow up.
Also, you're
So
saying,
that would-
you're saying just NASA, but what about all the other ones?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
make
They're
the
actually
same
worse.
thing?
They're worse. Their images, their videos are even worse. That's
Well,
why.
of course,
That's
we
why I
have the
focus
best
on
technology.
exactly. That's why I focus on NASA because they're the ones with the best technology, the better pictures,
But
right?
they
But they're
still all
still
accept the same
they're
thing.
still
But
kind of a
NASA
joke.
isn't the one with the best photos of the Earth.
I
It's NOAA.
guess it's Noah. I guess I'll have to
And
look
that's-
into.
and-
I'll bring
and-
Noah's pictures
all those
next when I
governments still
come.
accept-
Well, when you bring Noah's pictures, they won't be light images. They'll be data, like
Or just be numbers, huh? And that proves curvature.
not numbers. It's 3D modeling, and you can look at things. But
Okay.
I mean, you're laughing, man. You've never. I mean, like, do you have any sort of like
Physics?
credentials?
Yeah, water.
Like credentials. I mean, to be laughing, like it's a bit rude, no?
I mean,
Because I'm a grown man and you're laughing at me.
No,
But I
I'm
already
laughing-
know,
I'm laughing at the
I already
claims.
know that my resume is like. Come
I'm
on
laughing
now.
at the
Come on
claims.
now. You're
I'm
laughing at me.
I'm laughing at the claims. No,
You're
take
laughing.
it, don't take it
no,
personal.
no. You're laughing at Noah too, and that's people that have worked
Yeah,
a lot
this
harder
could-
in their
Okay,
life. You know,
if
I get you work hard. You set up the camera, but truly, man,
he's
like
doing his face.
people work really hard, and
And
they
you don't think
actually
you don't think
learn.
people could be duped?
I think people can be duped, but I think the scientific method reigns true.
Yeah, the scientific method that
Yeah, you said
proves
this was
water
fake, right?
doesn't.
The
yeah,
scientific method isn't just measurement.
No, what these? Oh, these are genuine pictures, but again.
This is a curve, though. You can see the curve. Of the
Oh yeah, that's just the atmosphere. Right? They're making it look
Climb
like
to
that.
Everest and you can see like the
You
curve
can
of the
fucking
Earth.
see it, dude. You can
Right. So
literally
you know
see
how
it.
high Everest is? Mount Everest.
like how
It's
high, but you can
it's about
see
5 miles. You know the height of commercial airplanes?
Pretty
It's
high.
around.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
high.
Also,
there's
you
no
said-
curvature from airplane or even from 20 miles
Also,
in
you
the
said
sky.
something
Even
about
Neil
Of course
deGrasse,
not, because it's not that big. It's not
Wait,
that big.
you
of
said
a
even Neil
something
deGrasse
about
Tyson says there's no curve
The
at 20
sunspot's being
miles.
fake, right?
Of course
But-
not. Why would there be a curve at 20 miles? The Earth is massive. It's approximation.
I mean, it's not massive when it's 24,000.
You don't think
into
you don't
circumference.
think that's massive? Like you don't think the Earth is massive?
I mean, it's big,
It's-
but it's not massive like the way you want to make
Like
it
to
seem in your
scale,
mind.
it's literally massive.
Yeah, but it
Wait,
still
To
has
scale
curvature.
of your body, it is massive, and your eyes are a focal point of light.
But
So
when
if
we're
you
talking
research
miles-
optics-
but when
if
we-
you research optics, you'll
Yeah.
see your eyes are such a small focal point of light
Yeah.
that on the Earth it's literally
Here's how
and you know
perspective
what?
works.
I'd say, man,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, everything
you'd be a lot
compresses.
more credible. You would be a lot more credible. Just take
stop.
the classes. No,
Just
take
stop.
no, take the class. No, take the. But no, and you're laughing at me again because I didn't say that.
Just a quick second. You said these like shouldn't be possible, but you can see that the clouds are blocking out the sun.
Yeah, if you trace the light rays, it basically shows that the sun is a very small local sun. It's not a big space ball in outer space, 93 million miles away.
That would be based on the shape of the holes, not the position of the sun. The shape of the holes would define how the light went out
Oh, that-
because clouds refract light, like you just said. Clouds are made of moisture and that refracts light, so that would actually cause that, right? So you
Okay.
agree?
No, I
Maybe
don't
agree.
agree.
That's literally a direct proof using things that you agreed existed, refraction. If we take this right now and I punched holes in it and I took and this was like thicker, right? And we drilled holes this way through this
Right.
table at angles and I put a light, the
So you're
light
saying
would come
all
out
the
at
holes?
angles,
So you're
no?
saying all the holes on the camera are
Yeah.
perfectly shaped to give that illusion?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're perfectly shaped, but you got to understand that the sun generates heat. So when you're dealing with moisture, which is reliant on heat and the state of the system, because that's thermodynamics, of course, some of it would change based on whatever like the light is coming through.
Right. So you still believe the light is coming in parallel, but right here on
It's
the
not
clouds.
coming in parallel. I didn't say that.
Oh, well, that's the if you
I
believe.
could disprove that easily. If I had a drill,
Okay.
I could drill holes
Okay.
at angles and then take a
Let me say
lamp,
this.
and no matter where I put the lamp, the light would come out at the same
Okay,
angles.
if
You understand that, right?
Yeah, I understand that. But if
So
you
then
be-
you admit that then to scale that would be perfectly.
yeah, but then you will have to cut. You will have to assume that these holes are perfectly shaped, like you're saying, in an angle to make the light bend.
it's not perfectly shaped.
Well,
Nothing about that gives me a
Okay,
perfect shape.
let me just say this: you believe the sun's 93 million miles away from the Earth.
I don't know how far the sun is.
Oh, okay. So, okay. So
I
what do
wouldn't
you-
agree to a number I don't know, but yeah, I assume.
But I mean,
it's
you
pretty
believe
far.
in outer space, right? I would,
Of course,
I would
yeah.
assume. So the light from the sun, you would have to admit that it's coming in parallel when it makes contact with the sun, with the Earth.
No.
No.
Not to the
You-
surface of the Earth.
You're gonna have to look at your own model.
Okay,
before
if
we
I
have
have
a
an Earth
conversation.
and I have a sun, why would the sun hit this part of the Earth parallel?
No,
Like, what
all-
are you saying,
all-
dude? Why would the Earth?
Let me
how
show
would
you,
it
let me
hit that
explain
part
it.
of the Earth
Let me
parallel?
explain
It
it.
only hit the part of the Earth that's directly parallel to it. That's
No.
That's
Let me
pretty
show you.
basic. Come
Let
on.
me show you. So you have the Earth, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a giant ball over here, right? Which
Yeah.
is the sun, right? The light, because obviously we have day and night supposedly from a globe because the sunlight only
Okay.
hits half of the globe, right?
I don't know if it's half because it's not a perfect sphere, like I said
okay,
again.
but roughly.
No, it's not roughly because
So
you
it
have
only
places
hits-
like Alaska
so are you
where
gonna-
it's,
so are
it's
you-
daylight all the time.
Exactly.
So how would that work?
So you're saying that the sun doesn't hit the half of the Earth with sunlight all the time, or not?
the Earth doesn't rotate on a perfect axis.
Okay, even if it was on in the
you don't
axis, it
believe
was.
that's
What,
still-
okay, does light hit half of the sun? If the sun's over here, you have to admit that the sun's hitting the light.
Only if it's a
on this
perfect, only if it's a perfect sphere, which it isn't.
Even if it
Because
wasn't.
if it was oblong, different surface areas would be hit, and it wouldn't be half.
Okay, even if that was the case, the light will have to come in parallel.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
why would the light have... Wait, what do you mean parallel?
Yeah, because if the sun's 93 million miles away at half a million miles of circumference, like they're saying...
So you're saying the distance changes the parallelism?
Well,
that's approximation, and that you said you don't believe in, so you can't use that in your argument.
No, I'm saying how that's ridiculous. The globe has to claim that light's coming in parallel, but clearly it's not.
Where does it say that the light's coming in parallel?
You have to look at your own model that you believe.
What do you mean it's coming in parallel, though? Like, what does
the
that
light
mean?
from the sun, the rays of light are coming in parallel. They're not converging.
But the rays of light don't directly point at the Earth; they point in all directions.
Yeah,
out of the sun.
360 degrees.
So a lot of the rays won't hit the Earth parallel.
Yeah, but all the rays.
So you just said and you agree.
No,
what you just said is
the rays that would hit the Earth would be parallel relative to the Earth because the Earth is very tiny compared to the sun.
There would be tons of rays that aren't directly parallel, that are just off parallel, that are far from parallel.
All right. Well,
you just proved yourself wrong. No,
the sun is irrelevant. The sun is irrelevant to the shape of the Earth.
No, but you just proved yourself wrong, saying they'd all be parallel. That doesn't make sense. They wouldn't all be parallel.
That's what the mainstream claims.
Really?
Yeah.
Then why don't you have that as one of your sources? Because that doesn't make sense that they would all be parallel.
They don't exist. That's the only.
Wait. But you just said that they say it exists, and now you're saying no, they don't have it because I say it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm not here to spoon feed everything to everyone. So if you're curious about what your model claims, you should look into it.
Did you graduate high school?
Oh yeah.
wait. I'm going to show you something here. So
easy.
Are all the rays from this phone hitting the Earth parallel?
The sun's not smaller than the sun in your model.
No. And I'm saying, so as I zoom out, you're saying every ray from this phone is hitting that Earth parallel?
Because the sun's big. That's because this light source is smaller than the sun.
Wait, so you believe in approximation?
No,
as we go out, it's approximate to parallel. You just agreed with me.
You're trying to argue me something that your model claims.
No, but my model doesn't claim that.
It does claim that.
It doesn't. Nobody would claim that all of the rays coming out of the sun
that touch the
are
Earth
magically pointing directly at the Earth. So
have you guys heard of the sticks and shadows experiment? How they measure the length of the shadow to prove the Earth's circumference? Of Aristotle, right? They're assuming that the light from the sun is coming in parallel, and that's how they're able to measure the angle.
But it doesn't come in parallel in that experiment either.
But
in the mid-20th century, we began launching satellites into space that would help us determine the exact circumference of the Earth, 40,030 kilometers. But over 2,000 years earlier in ancient Greece, a man arrived at nearly that exact same figure by putting a stick in the ground. That man was Eratosthenes, a Greek mathematician and the head of the Library of Alexandria. Eratosthenes had heard that in Syene, a city to the south of Alexandria, no vertical shadows were cast at noon on the summer solstice. The sun was directly overhead. He wondered if this were also true in Alexandria, so on June 21st he planted a stick vertically in the ground and waited to see if a shadow would be cast at noon. It turns out there was one, and it measured about 7 degrees. Now, if the sun's rays are coming in at the same angle at the same time of day, and a stick in Alexandria is casting a shadow while a stick in Syene is not, it must mean that the Earth's surface is curved. And Eratosthenes probably already knew that. The idea of a spherical Earth was floated by Pythagoras around 500 BC and validated by Aristotle a couple centuries later. If the Earth really was a sphere, Eratosthenes could use his observations to estimate the circumference of the entire planet. Since the difference in shadow length is 7 degrees between Alexandria and Syene, that means the two cities are 7 degrees apart on Earth's 360-degree surface. Eratosthenes hired a man to pace the distance between the two cities, and learned they were 5,000 stadia apart, which is about 800 kilometers. He could then use simple proportions to find the Earth's circumference. 7.2 degrees is 1/50th of 360 degrees, so 800 kilometers times 50 equals 40,000 kilometers. And just like that, a man 2,200 years ago found the circumference of the entire planet with just a stick and his brain.
That's what they claim.
But that's not what they claim, because you don't have sources, no?
The Aristotle experiment from 2,000 years ago.
Aristotle is from 2,000 years ago and is not representative of what NASA believes.
That's literally the foundation of their whole model.
And I don't think it was Aristotle. I think that was Galileo you're referencing. But,
whoever it was.
It wasn't Aristotle. Aristotle was the philosopher of Greece when they didn't believe in the
whoever it was,
model.
they're claiming,
but now you're referencing people that aren't.
Yeah, okay, I'm a reference.
That's the third time.
I'm a reference that experiment.
It's Galileo.
No, I don't think it was because
it wasn't.
They said
look it up. It is.
I was in the solar system class. They said
so I guess it's 1-1, right?
No, it's not 1-1.
No.
Just memorizing names.
No, dude,
regardless if this is true, are you like? I don't understand. Like, are you generating money or
no,
what's the?
No.
So you. Okay, bro.
I don't.
It's hard to say. You know, you've been laughing at me, so I'm gonna leave you with that, bro.
Sure,
but don't. You know. don't you know you gotta have perspective, because people
Yeah,
that go here,
I do have
mean,
perspective.
you're where you are. You're where you are, and people are going where they're going. So you won't be, you're not going to be laughing once people are,
I think it
and those people will help you later on in life. People with money,
The
but
experiment was
you have an idea.
All right, you too.
They had to do and then measure the stick, and then
Yeah, it was.
like, more sound.
Yeah, that's assuming that the light is coming in parallel. You could see it. You could look it up. Literally, they assume the light's coming in parallel, and that's why they're measuring the difference in angle. He does. Obviously, he has a huge bias, to defend. But.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
What's your class?
You want to take a flyer with you? Here, check it out. You can check out the conversations. That's my channel. Yep. I'm live right now too, so.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right, man. Yeah, so good one. All right. All right. There, I'm calling it.